don't even have one here for me,
A what?
mic. How do you do it here with no mic?
I project.
Here, I'll turn mine.
Nobody wants to hear his voice, so we didn't know.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is petitions from the audience, and we do have one. And if you would, ma'am, please come up here and speak loudly into the microphone and state your name and what you have to bring to our attention.
Hi, my name.
You gotta talk down in the microphone.
I think I'm loud enough for everyone and the downstairs. My name is Leah Schenkel-Whitley. I am a resident of 1322 Northeast 3rd Place, about a block and a half, 2 blocks from the Pryor Hospital. I am coming forth to you guys today. This is my second time to come forth to you. I came in February of 23 during a committee and brought street issues about drainage on my road. A little previous, a bit about that is Mr. Bill Stovall has been petitioning this and writing beautiful articles in the newspaper about the drainage issues. And so these have been going on a lot longer since I have been a resident. Since then, in 2023, when I brought this attention, when I came, I was told, the fiscal year, need to wait for funding, money needs to roll over, something of the sort, moving forward. I waited. 2024, I believe it was in February, when road construction began on my road to help get the drainage moving. We thought that was going to work. Unfortunately, no success. We still have water that piles up in front of my house and half the street, especially on the south side of the street. Now, in November of 24, no, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. In July of 24, we had the street crew come back out and they scraped and they tried to re-dig. I'm assuming I'm not a street engineer, but make those ditches a little better so the water could trickle down to the main outlet. No.
When you say the ditch,
It's not really a ditch. I don't know how to explain it. You know how the road you step off.
It's a paved road.
It is a paved
Line
road.
is what she's trying to say.
Yes, and you can see in my pictures here. They came in and they tried to deepen this section to let that water flow into the outlet, which is at the end where Fairland and the 3rd Place meet. Now, I have taken some photos, taken some videos over the time of water. This is in front of my house. I can't even step off my curb without stepping into a pond. This is algae. This tells you how long it takes for it to build up and how long that water sits. I hate Oklahoma summers. They're hot, they're miserable. However, I'm grateful because it's the only reason I don't have water in my house right now. If you go forward, he'll share a video of, I'm sitting in a truck in front of my mailbox. Those are mosquitoes. That's how long that's, and gnats. That is how long that water has been stagnant. And those little flutters are the bugs that have made home in front of my house. It smells like sewage. I've tried to sweep, we've tried to shovel, we've tried to move it off, and if you push it out to the road, maybe make it thinner so it'll dry, it just pours right back in. And as you can see, when the road crew has come in, and it clears, for the most part, it likes to hang out between my neighbor's house, my house, and it clears on the Stovall side, on that side, it's not near as wide. I can't step over that. It's wide. And
He still has water on his side.
and that's the Stovall side on the north side of the road. The whole purpose, I'm even bringing this to your attention, first and foremost, I don't like the smell, I don't like the look, I want my house to look nice. Second, you guys paid money from the town for infrastructure that wasn't met. Whoever company, the third party that came out and done that needs to be held accountable for not doing the job that you've already paid for. I shouldn't have to drive down my street and think about, I'm proud to be a Pryor resident, but this doesn't represent me. And when you see this, that doesn't represent what we want Pryor to look like. And this is by the hospital. It's the only home, you know, this is my home. And it really hurts because it smells awful. I can't enjoy my property. It makes me want to sell. So is that all my pictures?
Yeah, this is the one right after they scraped the street, and it's still exactly like the
This
red
was
brick.
taken right after. Okay, so this one would have been in February as well, and you can see where they scraped it and how it pulled. And this is right before the crew came back in July. And I have pictures. I've taken pictures for years. Just like, here we go, waiting, you know, since the very first time that I've spoke. So besides safety, we have the West Nile virus, mosquitoes, all sorts of nasty things. Curb appeal, home, residency, and just the lack of infrastructure on it, because it's not just my house, it's the whole north side. I can only complain about what's mine.
Well, and not only the north side, but there are actually places similar to this all over town.
Sure.
In fact, it pools up in front of my house too.
Does it stay for months at a time?
Well, I don't know about months, but it stays there a while, yeah.
I have months.
What was your address again?
1322 Northeast 3rd Place.
Okay.
Currently, we want to pull a flower bed in front of our mailbox in that area. However, we can't really do it without, well, it's dried up now, I can do it, but we couldn't do it when it was cooler because you'd just be standing.
Is that water coming down the street or out of the yard?
It's everywhere, everywhere. That whole side of town, it just seems like, first and foremost, I'll talk about my property. My property and the properties next door, the way the land is positioned, it holds water. It runs out of the property, it runs from the edges of the street. It just sits.
And this is slippery as a sign of like a lake. Like,
It's a
if you were
pond.
in, like, the algae lake's so slippery.
So, I just wanted
Where
to,
is the water designed to drain to?
at the end
Oh,
of,
I'll show you a picture of that actually, it's at the very end, yeah.
so,
It drains to the west.
It drains.
Okay.
yes,
Kentucky.
where
Up
Fairland,
to Fairland Street.
yes,
It's
not-
That's the drain on the left. Now, they've actually taken some of this grass out, but not all of it down that drain. But that right there on the left, that's where it's supposed to go to.
And
It's huge, it's big.
so if you go west, all the way at the end where 3rd Place meets Fairland, there's the outlet. And it
When
doesn't,
was that photo taken that shows the grass and mud? in the
that one would have been taken in the winter time.
Okay.
I could go take a recent picture, I just didn't have one today to go put it.
Does it still look like that today?
It's not pretty, it's probably not as bad.
I don't think it's quite as bad, but yeah.
Okay.
I just want the water to be able to get to it, because if it could make it to it, I don't think there'd be any problem. However, needing those, what did you call them? I said ditches, trenches, but the little grooves,
It's the curb.
the curb, you know, to help let that lead that path there. It's just not making it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I should say you are talking about my neighboring street, so they probably have the same, same issues. Third Street is literally backhand, like right behind mine,
Okay.
so I appreciate it,
Right. Thank you.
and, I don't know what else I could say or do, or not do, or hear from you, so.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other petitions? Okay. The next item is discuss possibly approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 meeting. I want to entertain a motion that we table this until the next meeting.
Well, at that meeting, it was only Councilman Brown and I.
Right.
So legally speaking, since he's gonna be gone for 10 weeks, how do we proceed with approving that?
We need to still approve it
Well, but since neither of them two were there, it was just him and I, can we still do that legally?
That's why I was wanting to table it until a future meeting.
Yeah, we can table and ask, but I think you're fine. I mean, we post our videos online, they can be reviewed, the minutes can be reviewed ahead of time, I think you're good. But let's take a look and see.
Because there's also the meeting previous to that, since it was only him and I there, so we'll have to look at those two.
Sorry.
But- But I'll just make a motion that we take no action. Just in
Okay.
case we-
Second.
Okay, there is a motion by Councilmember Shears and a second by Councilman Siff that they take no action on the minutes of the May 27th meeting. Those in favor?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
No? Yes? Voted no?
yes.
All in favor?
Sorry. And for the next meeting agenda, would you please put that on there again in your draft for that? And also for the previous meeting to that, I don't remember what date that was, but whatever the previous meeting was to that about the minutes,
It would have been March or April.
I believe it was April.
Okay.
For your draft the next meeting. Thank you. Okay, street superintendent report, Buddy Glenn.
Well, like I said, I don't have everything on here, but just kind of the hit and miss at, last couple of weeks. We had some, trees out there on North Elliott drainage that's, the beaver's gone out there and cut or chewed down or whatever. We had to go out and remove them so there wouldn't be a blockage, and some of them took a couple of days to cut up and haul off. They were some pretty good sized trees. Again, you know, with all the rain that we've had with the mowing, weed eating, spraying, I mean, again, a lot of it's our drainages we've had, we haven't been able to get into them because it has been too wet. But it's finally starting to dry up now, and we're back out with them, mowing our drainages, weed eating, spraying them. We've been painting the crosswalks and stop bars, trying to get a jump on them because, again, we're behind on a lot of things because of the weather we haven't been able to do. But we're going ahead and get the jump on them. We took our pipe rotter, we went over on Southwest Graham Court, we rotted them pipes out. There was some of the silt built up, but again, that, you know, we went shot grade for the business owners down there, and like I said, there's just not a lot of fall that we have in that area. And some of them, they said they didn't want their ditches dipped, but I mean, that's up to them. If it holds the water in through, there's nothing, a whole lot we can do. But we went out and shot grade and showed everything, how it's supposed to fall, where it's supposed to go, and I think they kind of understand now. If you don't have the fall on it, there's not a whole lot we can do. We had to call and sit in the parking blocks up by the tag office. I know they've always been a pain, but it was something back when they made it to a playground. I guess it was for the church's thing. It was their parking blocks, but they didn't want to do anything with them. So we just took it upon ourselves to go down there and set them as actual parking spots. So that way they don't get hit and cross the sidewalks, things like that. Again, you know, we work here, we had that little tornado out there, been removing storm damage out there at the cemetery. Running a sweeper when we can. I don't want to run it too much until we get around to get us something else, because I don't want it to break down, because now I think if we trade it or sell it or put it on Purple Wave or however we decide to do with this, that at least it's working. So if it breaks down again, if it's something major, we just have to get rid of the scrap metal.
You still do plan to purchase a new one in the new budget?
Yes, because I'm going to be putting $300,000 this year with the $200,000 that I had last year. And right now, there's two of them. There's not a lot of people that sell them anymore. Right now, there's two. There's Elgin and then there's Kirby Smith. And they're supposed to be giving me addresses. And the thing is, anymore, they're like the dump trucks. They don't have them pre-made. It's just if you're going to purchase one from them, you order it. They said it would take a couple of months to get it in. So, but right now they're running. If they don't go up anymore, they're running about $460,000 is what the last price that I've got. So, and also, of course, I know we're down one employee, but then I've got another one that's quitting July 3rd. So then that'll be his last day. So that'll put us down too. And that's another thing why it takes us a little bit longer, because, again, we don't have the manpower like we did. So we're just kind of been hit and miss. We got one crew crew of 3 or 4 that's doing stuff, and then I've got another guy that kind of goes around weed eats, around signs and sprays, and then just different things like kind of switch back. With the painting, we have 2 guys, then I gives me 2 other guys just to run a crew. So it takes a little bit longer to get around. I mean, and right now, I'm just not seeing anybody that's really wanting to go to work. But other than that, I mean, we had some other odds and ends things that we've done. One of our old tractors, it has to do with the hydraulics on the back. It broke. We replaced it. Well, then it broke again. And so we took it out there, and Chuck looked at it, and that's something that they're going to have to work on. It's something we can't do. Our other little mower that we had, the little arm, the wing arm on the back side that holds the wheel, it broke the other day. So we've got the part ordered for it, waiting for it to come in. So again, once that went down, we was mowing to the little 6-foot brush hog. Well, when that tractor went down for that bulk, then that has something to do with the hydraulics. So that tractor's down. So all we've got right now is just with the skid steer with the brush hog on it. So that's what we're mowing everything with. But other than that, we'll get calls that comes in, and I got people wanting sidewalks and stuff like that, and I've got some things planned, but it's just we just got to get caught up with what I already had planned to do, get those done, and then move forward with all them other ones. But other than that, that's about all we got going.
Buddy, when we start putting together our list for the street and sidewalk projects in the new fiscal year, are you thinking that the sidewalks would be a project that would be bid out to a contractor, or would that be something you all would do?
Depending on how much you're wanting to get done at one time.
Okay.
We used to do a sidewalk project every year. I would put back 60,000, and then like with Cherokee Nation, they would come in, they would put some in with it. We'd get a grant from somewhere. I don't know if they still, but we haven't done one in several years. But usually we'd pick out an area in whatever ward, we'd try to do one in each one, and we just continue around. The last one we done was North Elliott, and that was the last project that we had. So
How long ago was that?
that was back when Jimmy was, I think his last one, I think it was. Yeah, something like that. But we haven't done it, I guess, for the grants and however it was, but we used to put that back, and that was our part towards the grant. That was our amount of money for it. So, but I do have one. It's over on May Street. We have a lot of elderly that lives down through there. There's a lot of rent houses, but I mean that's going to be up to the landlords or whatever to maintain their driveways. That's not, if it's a rental property, it's not ours. Well, it's not ours to maintain the driveways anyway. But the sidewalk from there all the way to 3rd Street, we're going to try to get what we can with that this year. And then our next one, but I think that's going to have to be a bid out. We've got part of it on Irving Street. We started on each end. We've been kind of working our way into it. But I mean, if it's something that needs to be done, fairly fast, well, it's probably going to have to be a project on that. The sidewalk there on Old 20 between Orphan and, I think it's Orphan and Ora, it's just about not even a block long, but that sidewalk, it sits like this. And so it's either going to have to be I'm trying to get with Dale, talk with him, because there is people use the sidewalk. It's either going to have a head wall poured in it with a concrete ditch, or it's going to maybe do something like we're doing on South Elliott. It's come in and put a certain size pipe all the way through it and cover it up, and then you can pour sidewalks on top. But that's the main ones we're trying to get done right now, or plan on doing. It's, which, like I said, it may be take us, depending whether if we got the money to do that or not. I mean, if we do, if we can do one a year like we used to, that was great because we was getting a lot of sidewalks that was getting completed. So.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Buddy? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, the other item, number 5, is discussion regarding the Northeast 3rd Street drainage issue. And this is a Scribner's error on my part because it is about your area.
Yay!
I didn't know if it was street or place or whatever, but that was an error on my part to have that on the agenda as 3rd Street drainage issue, which it is 3rd Street. So, so discussion on this. I know that the petitioners have brought this up. Buddy, do you have anything to say about it? Or
And I understand the problem with that street and a lot of streets, especially on the north side, there's not a lot of fall on those streets. And the bad part, in some of the driveways, and I'm not saying all the driveways, but you'll know some of the driveways, they're falling down. Well, when they do that, you can come over and overlay, but then that water, a lot of times, are stuck in through there. But the only way that you're gonna fix that street there is you're gonna have to come back in and redo the curb and gutter from all the way Oklahoma Street, all the way back down to Fairland, because over the years, when people, especially when people park on the side and they drive over and hit, what that does, that just keeps pushing things over this way, then eventually your curb is going down. Well, also in times past, what they've done, they, not picking on nobody, but when they would come in and do an asphalt overlay, they would not mill it back down to the grade that it should be to flow. They would just come in and overlay because they save money. Okay, that's why a lot of these streets right now doesn't flow right, is because of that. Because sometimes you'll have most of the time a 6-inch curb. Sometimes you'll see a 2-inch curb on there. That's because they've done overlay after overlay. And see, those all needs to be milled down to where the original flow line, or 2 inches below that, the flow line, and then come back and overlay back to it.
And I'm not an engineer, but I can contest to that. There's different parts of the street, the curbs are higher and lower, so.
But see, and by law, see, there's no one-street parking. If you park on those side streets, after a while, I mean, there's only so much weight that that'll hold, but then, I know it may be hard to believe, but then after a while, those roads, they'll sink this way because of the weight sticking down. Well, then that takes the flow line out, because then you've got a low spot where that water stands.
Yeah.
But see, that's one reason, besides the sweeper, no on-street parking, but again, something like that, it just basically, you're gonna have to go on both sides, north and south, and replace all the curb and gutter back down there, and then come back and mill back so far, then overlay back down to that. But that gutter line, you go down through there, and there's just low spots that comes back up. And we tried to mill it. I mean, we went through there and shot grade on it. There's just not a lot of fall on that street. I mean, and that's what I run into back in the days when they built these roads, and whenever it was, I'm assuming they shot grade in order to get whatever they needed to do. But there just wasn't, there's not a lot of fall on the streets here, especially the north side and the west side. Those streets down through there, it's just a big problem. And sometimes I feel bad. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but the only thing, to get that is go with brand new, and that may be all we have to do is some of these streets down through there. If you can't mill them to get them where they'll flow, you're gonna have to come back in and go from one end to the other, put brand new curb and gutter all the way through it, and then come back and overlay it. I mean, that's the only thing I know to do, because again, we thought this was gonna help. I know, what's the fellow that's on the end down on the north side? Stovall or?
Stovall, Bill
Yeah.
Stovall, yeah.
They're right across the street from them.
Yeah.
Well, now he come out, he was tickled to death with what we done. We come in, I know there's still a little water that stands through there, but we can't go any deeper where that's at, because if we do, then all you got's a hole.
And his side is a lot better than what it was. His sides used to look like my side. And my side is just now the catch-all for it all. And I would like to talk to somebody about the street parking, because if that's playing effect, then I want to rat every one of my dang neighbors out and get them off of it, because I want them to quit. It smells awful.
Well, see, and also, of course, usually on our street sweeper, we always try to go through all the way through.
You do. I have no issues
But
with
see,
that.
with that, there's a lot of times when they got cars parked on there, we can't
Absolutely.
clean the streets. Well, but see, that goes back to code enforcement. That has nothing, I can't do nothing. I don't have the authority to say, hey, you need to move that.
Of course, a lot of these houses were built, just like a lot of places in Tulsa, when they were first built, you had one car per family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, you'll have 3 cars a family.
Oh, no, my neighbor has 5.
Right. But, so basically where we're getting at is, we're either gonna have to take the entire road down to where it's supposed to be and then grade, overlay with it grading at the right level, or we're gonna have to completely redo basically kind of like make better gutters all the way down for the street. And so either way, that's gonna take a lot of money. And of course, it's not just here at Northeast Third Place. It's gonna be all over the town. And so, because this does come into a health and safety issue eventually.
Yes,
because
I can't
of,
even walk to my mailbox without slipping.
yeah, but at the, well, but like having mosquitoes and algae
that's
and
just
stuff.
simple.
But at the same time, what can you do on the short term to get this fixed? So what kind of plan would we
Well, I
want in
mean,
place to
again, you know,
eventually address this?
if we try to go down the sweep, if the cars is there, then you're gonna have built up of silt and dirt, material, whatever, where those cars are. Well,
Yeah,
then that water won't go down, so it's still backed up. Well, they can move the car, but if that silt stuff up on the street's still there, I mean, it's still not gonna run nowhere.
well, right.
That's why the city, that's why they decided back in the day to run street sweeper, so we could keep that.
If you
Try to
tell
get
me the day that you wanna go, I will be glad to knock on every one of my neighbor's door to move your car.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying, but we've tried that before.
No, I'm adorable.
We've tried to go around, and sometimes we can't even get, because the cars are parked right across from each other, and that sweeper
No,
won't even fit between them.
Oklahoma Street and that street are awful about the car parking on the roads, and like I said, I wanna work with y'all. I just can't.
But once we get the new sweeper, I mean, we'll be able to go more.
Sure.
Right now, the one we have, like I said, just
No, we get
knock on
giddy
wood,
over it.
it just stays running.
We get giddy over it. The dogs hate you, but we love you, so it's fine. You keep running your street sweeper.
But I mean, it helps by doing that, but again, on that street right there, I know when Steve designed it, I mean, I won't say it was a mix-up, but see, all they were supposed to do was come in like 6 foot off from the side. They're supposed to mill the gutter line down, or mill everything off where the curb and gutter was, and then mill down 2 inches, and then come back in and overlay with that. Well, on some places that it was done that way, but again, when they overlaid it back to the curb again. I said, no, that's not what's supposed to be done. And so that's why they had to come back and try to mill all that back off down that gutter through there. But when you do that, then all you do is create pockets.
So if we wanted to pursue, and not just at this street, but at any street, taking it back down to the way it was supposed to be and then overlaying at the right level and right grade, or redoing the gutters, what would be more effective as far as
Well, I mean,
resolving the issue ultimately?
well, the only thing, again, after everything is so old, you start looking at the curb and gutter down there, where it starts breaking up, and again, when
Right.
vehicles park on it, I mean, after a while, I mean, it's only good for so many years, basically. But the only way, if you get into an area like that, the best thing to do to fix it where there's not a problem is, and again, you won't have to do the whole street, but just have a company come in that has the equipment that can string line that and pour curb and gutter from one end down to the other on both sides, where it's on the flow line, it's on grade. And then come back in and mill out like a 6 foot area off each side, 2 inches below the gutter line, and then overlay to the gutter line. That way, that's the only way you can fix it, but there's a lot of streets, again, like I said, they've overlaid all the way to the curb. So any street that we do, that I have done, ever since I've taken over, is we mill back down to, if there's a concrete curb and gutter, it's milled back down to the original flow line, and then you adjust accordingly to what the street needs to be. Because that's our problem, they've just been overlaid, and there's, now you don't have your flow like you should have.
So basically what we're looking at is doing kind of what we've been doing with the small street fix-ups, getting a list of everything and seeing what needs to be done. Because I mean, obviously we could go through every single road and find something that needs to be redone and stuff like this that needs to be done. So
Well,
do we think we just try to throw all that into projects
Start
like
with this
that?
street here.
Yeah.
I mean, on this next year, whatever it is, it's not really a mill and overlay on it, it's a repair of the curb and gutter.
I think that's why I specifically asked every council member to give me a list of what is needing to be done in your area.
Mhm.
To date, I've only gotten one from Councilman Brown.
Oh, I sent my stuff to him.
I made the request, he's come to me.
Okay.
If I don't get that request,
Well, were you wanting everything that needs to be done, or just because I was under the impression he just said
I don't need to know
small
every little-
fix-ups here and there.
I don't need to know every little thing that needs to be swept and moved, but, you know, the major things, I think Councilman Brown sent his presentation to everybody. If not, I'll send it to you. I appreciate his thoroughness. He sent me a PowerPoint, it was beautiful. And I am great here's the areas we've got, but if I don't have it, I have nothing. I have nothing from 2, I have the 1 from 3, and I have nothing from 4. So I'm aware of a lot of the areas. I drive the city every day. I drive up and down streets every morning before I come to the office. But I need the councilman to send me a list of what you guys feel is really the rough areas. Even if we have an area where we've done some work and it's damaged some driveways, just send me the list. We'll get it done. We'll get on. We'll come up with a plan, but I need that list.
Thank you for skipping ahead in the agenda. That's on the agenda to
Oh,
talk
I
about
don't have
next.
it, I'm sorry.
So, this is in your ward, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. It sounds like that maybe this is something that may be needed added to the list that you are gonna put together, maybe.
Well, the one that I already sent to Buddy, I'll fix it and send it to you.
And again, like I said, I mean, we can put it on there, and again, if it's not something, I know, talking with that, but I mean, we only have so much money that we can spend every year.
Right.
But again, with this here, I mean, when you have problem streets like that, the only way that you're gonna fix them is to repair the curb and gutter from one end to the other, and then bring your street into that. Get your flow, how it's supposed to be, and then you bring your street into that. So, because, I mean, you have your crown where everything goes out to the sides.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may have where it doesn't flow good, you have to pay it to the other side, because your ground sets this way, this sets flat, and this sets where it has a flow, so you have to build it accordingly to wherever your flow line is.
Yeah.
So,
And just to clarify, because I think what was heard maybe was that you were wanting a list of fix-ups, which are potholes or cracks in the road that could be, or parts where the road's kind of worn in because asphalt does that, as opposed to projects. And so,
well, that may have been my fault, because I told you I did the list of just the things that you see that needs to be done, but it's more of a, repair.
Well, hang on, let's get back to.
yeah.
We're talking about Third
Okay.
Street only right now.
Okay.
You're jumping way ahead. Okay,
Northeast
so,
Florida, the only thing that's gonna fix that is you're gonna have to redo curb and gutter from one end to the other,
Okay.
and then bring your street to that. Because there's not, until you get down to Fairley Street, when it goes across over to that other drainage through there, that's the most fall that you have all the way through that street. There's more fall in that street, that 25-foot of street, than you do for the whole thing coming all the way down.
All right, well, maybe.
So
we
when
can-
your driveway's in, when you start doing that, and it's also, I mean, it's up for the homeowners to replace their drive, but if their driveway's sunk down over the years, that's gonna have to be brought back up too. So when we do a repair for curb and gutter, that driveway's down, then it's gonna have to be,
Raise
it's not gonna do
that.
no good until that driveway's fixed also.
so a city repair of new curb and guttering like that, like you're recommending, would maybe fix it. That's also gonna affect people's driveways too, that they'll have to do on their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've already had people quote me, and that's
Okay.
adorable.
Okay,
All right, so basically, maybe we can get it, because you're the squeaky cog that's gonna hopefully get the grease here. Maybe we can try to look at seeing what it would cost us to have that done.
Yeah, like I said, just put it on it.
The whole reason I even brought it up
The
was
list.
because you had that company come out and already do work.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't, I mean, if you're gonna do a job, do it right, and it didn't do it
Well, it was done right.
right. Yes,
But
it just
again,
didn't.
there's other factors in it. I'm not blaming the contractor because it wasn't done right. Yeah, they overlaid back to the curb and gutter, which we wouldn't come back and cut that back down. But the street that they've done, the water flow on the other end, they've done what they could for that. But again, that's the problem with a lot of these streets we have, is we don't have the proper flow that's need to be to drain the streets on a lot of it. I mean, there's some that we have that just completely flat. There's no
Right.
drainage nowhere. I mean, then you got ditches with pipe, they fill up, but the water doesn't go anywhere, because it's just sits flat. And, I mean, I don't know what else to say, but I mean, that would be the first thing I'd start with, is just with the curb and gutter, and see what it would cost to fix and go from there.
okay, thank you. Okay, so, Councilman Smith, you have anything to add to that?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay, good deal. Okay, item number 7 is discussion regarding potential street drainage and sidewalk projects in 2025-26 fiscal year.
Did you skip number 6? That's the old 20.
Yes, I did. We'll go back to that one. On the street drains and sidewalk repair, we are going to put together, in the past, we have always picked a few streets to do major projects like overlay of Old Highway 20, etc. And then we did the alleys last year, downtown area. This year, the intent, as the mayor had mentioned, is that we're going to look, each council member is going to look in each of their wards and look at streets that are in really bad shape, drainage and sidewalks that need to be addressed, and have each council member put together a list, and then we'll rack and stack them on a priority and go out to have a contractor fix a whole bunch of stuff all over town versus just a couple of major streets. So each council member is supposed to be getting a list to us of projects to look at so we can sit down in a tabletop discussion and figure this out. And we're going to do that. And maybe as a result of this is going to be added to the list. I don't know, we're going to have to rack and stack problems all over town, but at least you brought it to our attention.
I am grateful to bring it to your attention.
And we will look at this.
I understand that placement on the list is
Yeah.
by priority.
And I don't say that's going to happen this year, but at least it's going to be on a list.
Right,
And it could, I don't know, but we're all going to look at that. So
sure.
thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I appreciate you for listening.
Okay.
And
So, go ahead.
Well, again, I mentioned the scope, and of course we have this on the agenda now. The scope of the list is not just small fixes in here. Is this big projects, not, quote unquote big projects, or is this?
So, the main purpose of that task is because just like any business, any company, anybody, even the city, we do with our departments, we need a facility report. And the council members are accountable for those areas. And I think you guys are perfect to do that job, to drive your ward, to drive your area and take that facility report. And if you feel that something that we may deem as a project is important and of priority, then it needs to be prioritized in your report. We can come back and we can look at those and we can say, hey, this is what we have money for, this is not. But if you can't get those to us, then we don't know. That's why I tell people all day long, if there's no report, then there's likely not going to be anything done about the problem because we can't cover everything. We have a spot on South Ridge. Are you familiar about that spot on South Ridge down by?
Leaks all the time.
Right.
Yep.
So I went out this week and I put cones out there. People slide on that nonstop. My wife, when we were out knocking doors 2 years ago, she fell on that spot.
I'm not sure where it comes from either. I've been out there several
Well,
times.
I would say that would be something to put on the list. Like, why is this water in slick algae? It's
Yeah.
slick, man. I was out there Monday and I was looking and I went, and I about wiped out. And they were laughing at the dance I did, but it's not about big project, small project. It's about what is a priority in your ward. Now, we may decide that, hey, this project in Ward 2 is a little bit more of an urgency than Ward 3's project, but what we've got now is we've got that facility report of that part of our city. We know that we need curbs here, we need Centennial Park, those chunks of concrete that were left from whoever dumped them there, those need to be, whatever you feel needs to be done on a street and facility report, that's what the goal of that is. It's not to put you on the spot, it's so that you guys can report to us and we can start that inventory of what we have to do. The goal is, yes, we'd love to start knocking out some of these little projects, cracks here, busted shoulders here, drainage issues here. We can do that, but if we don't know about them all and we don't have that inventory, it's likely we're gonna be another 20 years going, well, this one never made the list, or people coming back and saying, I reported it once. we need to get that on file, so that's what I'm asking for.
Okay. And the only other question, maybe either of you, the areas, so like Keel Road on the west side is city, but the county takes care of the road. So places like Old Airport on the north side, the part of Gaither that goes straight up north, and some of these other outlying boundary roads, are those all gonna be county, or are they mixed
We
with?
can report them as city,
Okay,
and we'll look at them. One of the next items that's on the list, I don't want to do another jump ahead, but Councilman Lamar and I were just talking about this. One of the great things that we're working on right now is that relationship between the county and the city.
yeah,
And right now, we're at a great advantage with the way that relationship is headed. And that's not something that's common. And so those are the areas where we sit down with, whether it's Alva or it's Steve or whoever, and we say, hey, here's a road we share. How do we want to tackle it? That's how it should be done. A cohesive partnership between the two. And they may say, you do the south side, we'll do the north side. Or they may say, hey, you know what, we got it. We had that with, what was that, 47th last year with the overlay.
29?
Was it 29?
Yeah, I think it's 29.
Where the county commissioner came in and said, hey, if you give me that 1,900 feet of your road, I'll overlay the whole thing for you. Well, we'd love to give it to you, but we have utility easements under it, so we can't give it to you.
right.
But we entered into a 49-year maintenance agreement, and guess what? They overlaid it for us. It's still our road, but they did that. So it's working that partnership. So on those shared roads, report them as city, and let us have that opportunity to go and say, hey, what do we need to do here? How do we need to attack it? But if it's not reported, it can't be worked on. Not saying it won't be, but it's not likely. Fair
Thank you,
enough.
Mr. Mayor.
Are we good?
So we have talked about this multiple times, so again, and again, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set a deadline for the second council meeting in July to have, and it has nothing to do with the council meeting itself, but that date, to have this list to us, preferably sooner,
Give it to me so I can look at it.
yes.
Now, I might ask a question, the South Elliott drainage, is it a gone project now, do I need to put that on there?
No, it's,
The why,
Bid opening is July 10th.
okay, so I don't have to worry about that,
don't worry about that.
okay.
You can put it on your list, but have put a big star on it so you know it's gonna be open, the bids are open July the 10th.
That and the why at South Elliott, I could break the whole street department,
So,
just those two items, so. So I didn't know how much you wanted me to say, but I can say a bunch, I will, I'll do a list.
so anyway, street drainage sidewalk projects, again, we need to get that going ASAP so we can get that to Dale to start planning and working it, racking and stacking it. And to eliminate some of your confusion on little projects, Kenneth, is that if there's a pothole, just send Buddy a text message
Oh,
and
yeah.
tell him where it's at and things like that.
Text,
Or,
email,
Yeah.
again, you
Things
know,
like
it's
that.
just, I don't go up and down all the time. I mean, I know that once we start looking for things and stuff, then we'll find one, I'll write it down. And like I said, normally, we have been having this much trouble with it, but like I said, with all the moisture that we've had. I don't care, I mean, the only thing that'll fix those is if you have just a repair, basically dig out, repair the hole, and then put back regular asphalt in it. But it's just, there's no temporary patching asphalt that will stay in those holes, because not only you have moisture on top, you have moisture on bottom. But yeah, anytime you find something, just email me or text me. I mean, because like I said, we still try to have, on Fridays, we try to go around and do that.
pothole patrol Fridays.
Can I have your number? I'll text you.
Well, I mean, there's.
You can call the city clerk's office too.
Yeah, but
Let's
there's.
say for the city, public, as a whole, there is a process, and that process is to file a complaint, we call it a complaint. There's a form that they fill out that says, hey, here's a problem I got. That's really what we'd like to see. Then we have documented proof of that, and it doesn't overload the street guys that are trying to work, and he's out there
mile radius, just, it's the water, it's out to get you.
Okay. Bruce, do you have anything?
No.
Kenneth, do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Let's talk about the, discuss and possibly recommend council action regarding the Northeast First Street Old Highway 20 overlay project. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, as all of you know, we fired Glover and Associates last night. That was necessary. With that, we wanted to make sure that we had a plan for finishing that project. I have had extensive conversations in the last several days with, again, the two county commissioners that I mentioned, Grossman and Martin. We have a plan. We'd like to see that plan come to fruition. They want to see that come to fruition. But what that plan is going to require is, Mays County has an MOU that they use. It is called the Agreement to Repair and Maintain Streets and Alleys. You have a copy of that. I want you to notice at the top on your copy, within the first line, there's a scratch out. I talked to Commissioner Martin today, because that says an incorporated town of a population of less than 200 or 2,500. And he said that needs to be scratched out and made 15,000. So Jay has been given the task to retype that and send it to the county, to send it back to Alva's office so that that can be taken care of. What we need to do is I'm requesting that the street committee hear what I have to say about the project and then recommend to the council to approve me to sign this MOU expeditiously, not before our council meeting, but pass it up Monday. If you guys will pass it up to the council meeting for Tuesday's council, Martin will put it on the commissioners meeting for Monday. Here's the thing, they can do this overlay in about a day and a half. Now the details of the overlay are going to be a lot in the cost and a lot in the time. The commissioners are behind, just like everybody else, because of the weather, because of other projects, because of what have you. Martin has got, Alva's got a 7-mile stretch of road going into Strang, or from Strang near Strang, that he has to do. Grossman has projects he has to do, and once they start on those projects, they are locked up till October. They have about a week and a half, maybe a week's window from right about now that they can come in and get this done for us, and they want to. So here's the details. Our bid with, I don't have my phone with me, hang on. Our bid with Glover was about $340,000. We will owe them something. They have done work, we will owe them something. The bond will not pay unless the city had financial loss. We did not have financial loss. We will owe them for the work that they did. You heard me last night. I'm going to suggest they take the liquidated damages of almost $40,000, gather your stuff and get out of town. It may be that we have to pay them a little more. Buddy and I kind of visited, probably not going to be much more than $50,000, if anything, of what we owe is what we owe them. We owe what we owe. Now, that said, their bid was $340,000 for everything. We've seen a lot of things in that we've talked about last night. I'm not going to revisit. Here's the proposal from the county. They can lay down the new asphalt. We're typically, right now, we're bid out for a 2-inch overlay. We talked today, we're gonna discuss doing this at a 3-inch overlay because we're gonna save some money. 3-inch overlay should get us another 5 to 10 years of good, heavy traffic on that road. And it will connect well to what the county has. I would like to not have to revisit this for a long time. That will require 2,800, you can write it all down, 2,850 tons of asphalt, S4 asphalt. Okay? That will also require 800 to 1,000 gallons of tack oil. They've given a very specific tack oil, the BCHT1. If you need that number, it's not really relevant other than it is what it is. And what they will do is they will shoot that, when they spray that, they'll shoot it a little heavier than what we had bid, so it will adhere and cause better adhesion. They'll spray it at a 0.07 rather than a, what is it, it's like irrelevant.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not,
it's
it's much thinner. They'll get closer to the road and spray it heavier, it'll adhere better. That'll take place of the cloth that we would have bought, that we were gonna put down, that oil. It's a thicker oil and a thicker spray. And Buddy's already talked to Ergon out of Catoosa that supplies that. They're already a vendor of ours. We already have an account there. It's just a matter of ordering it. Mays County will go and pick it up in their tank. We don't have a tank big enough for that. So they'll send their truck out. We'll do that. If we don't use the full 1,000, 200 gallons of that is not of any use to us. So it's fine. I'm sure they'll use it all. The asphalt, we will have to purchase the asphalt directly from Pryor Asphalt. That 2,850 is $65 a ton. Okay. The oil, what did we say the oil was? $3.40?
40 cents a gallon.
340 cents a gallon, or $3.40 a gallon. And $1.29.
And yeah, $1.20 EPA cost on top of that.
Not per gallon.
Just $1.20.
We owe another $1.20
Yeah.
for, so
Is there
whatever.
any bid things enter into this? Do we have?
So we can do this on a safety deal. The fact that that road is not completed and it's a hazard. We also are working under the time crunch that they have to get it done in a week's time, or we're out. And this could, I'm going to tell you, we will not get that asphalt that cheap. So that said, we're looking at about 206,000, 208,000, somewhere in there, give or take a little bit.
How much?
Versus 200.
Up.
I got it right here. Let me-
Roughly 210K.
210 rounds it up.
And I know there's a question I felt about one for bid, but Ergon, they're the only ones in this area at
Yeah.
Tucson that you can get. If you don't, you have to go out of state. They're the only ones that
Correct.
has the contract in this area.
Ultimately, what we will end up doing with that MOU is we'll enter into the county's pricing. That'll be their price, is whatever the price per pickup is, and $7 a ton to lay it down. And so we're looking at 208,600 roughly, plus whatever we end up owing on the final pay apps for Glover. So we'll come out about $80,000 ahead, which I think is kind of a blessing in disguise, if you will. We've got to get this to the county. We've got to get it pushed up to the council so that we can enter this and get it done in this small window. Also, we get too far out of July, we're going to start getting back into adverse weather again. So there are a few spots. Buddy and I went out and talked. There are a few spots out there. Let me clarify the markings on the road. There's a lot of markings out there that are pink and circling places. A lot of those were to identify spots that needed to be filled in, potholes, voids, etc. Glover came in, they did get that done. There's a couple of spots on the far east side that have some markings on them. Buddy and I went out there just before this meeting, and he was showing me that a lot of those markings were simply because there were places where maybe the aggregate doesn't affect it, but it just didn't settle right, and so it created a visual difference. And so they wanted to, Dale's words to me were, and this was after we talked today, they wanted to err on the side of caution, and they always go for the worst case scenarios. So Buddy is confident that those spots are fine. It was maybe like a cold patch in the asphalt or something where it just didn't settle correctly. Right? It doesn't.
The fines when they rolled it, just.
But it doesn't affect the integrity of that spot. So there is a spot. It's one mailbox to the east of Chief Cantrell's mailbox. right in front of that, it's about a 4x4 spot that does need to be dug up. The base needs to be done. We're not asking Glover to do it, we fired him. So Buddy's gonna be able to go out, he's confident he can knock that out in an afternoon or less. He's got a game plan on how to do that, and he can have that done and ready to go before the county's ready to roll. So, you know, what we're looking at is, we're looking at we've got a plan in place. We've got a partnership in the county right now that hasn't been there for a little while, and I'm grateful for that. You know, they came out, they helped us with the cemetery, they've helped us with some other things. We needed some dirt Saturday. Grossman brought us a truckload of dirt before the cemetery crew even got there to work on stuff. So I feel that it's important for us to make sure we're taking care of those relationships. And so I'm gonna recommend if you guys would pass this to council for me to sign that agreement with the county. That wouldn't be necessarily just for this project, that would enter into that agreement on other things that we might need that they can do. I think in the past, and I'm not saying this is one, but in the past they did Old Dog Pound Road. That was when the county they did a chip and seal on that. Those are the things that this agreement will allow us to do. It might, in the long run, afford the city some extra funds in a lower, we're not paying all that third-party contractor pricing on things that the county could do for us to help us out. Now, in exchange, we talked. They just want to know that if we need them, for example, say they're working on a project and a tree falls and they can't get anybody to cut it, that they can maybe call Buddy and say, hey, can you guys clear this tree off the road? Something, that mutual aid that we see with law enforcement and fire, if they need us, we can help them out in the same way. But this actually gives us an agreement that allows them to work on the roads and alleys for us. Questions? Did I leave anything out?
No, I mean, I guess as long as we've made sure that we're legal, we don't have to do the whole bid.
Everybody's been discussed about this. In fact, when I walked out of the commissioners meeting yesterday with, Adam was standing there when they handed me this. That's why I kind of wanted to get it on today. We came around the corner and talked to Chase. So he was going into a court hearing. So we, you know.
I would assume that working with the county like we should have been all along is gonna be a lot cheaper than dealing with contractors and this other mess.
Well, if you
It
can
sounds
imagine,
like a positive thing.
if we didn't have to pay Glover what we owe him, we do, and I'm not saying we didn't, but if we didn't, we're looking at basically a $200,000 project. Actually, they were only gonna do a 2-inch. We're doing a 3-inch overlay. So we're adding 5 to 10 years to this whole thing for almost 80,000, 90,000 less. And that's still way under the other bids that would have been reliable, more practical companies.
And I assume, Buddy, you have no concerns about, I mean,
Oh.
I've seen the county work, they seem to do very fine work as far as.
Oh, I have no problem. I mean, and like I said, force repairs, I know that basically they come in, I know they don't have a milling machine, you know, that may be something we have to look at down the road. You know, maybe with a contract or something that, all base repair that would be done by the city on the streets, which I don't have no problem with that. I mean, we try to do those anyway, and the problem is a lot of times we'll do base repair, but we didn't have enough money to fix that street, we run out. So then all we could do is have to put patch in it. Well, you know, that just lasts for so long, but I mean, yeah, it would save, instead of doing, say, an average, what it costs us $500,000, we could probably get $800,000-900,000 worth of work done for that $500,000 price.
All right, and then the only other question I have is, in doing a 3-inch overlay on that road, knowing that there are no shoulders there, are there any concerns about drop off, any, drainage, drop off, anything like that?
Well, there's also no shoulders, so if
I
you
know.
drop that 1 inch extra versus the ditch, I don't think you're gonna notice. I mean, it's,
How's that gonna affect
No, I'm
people's
just an idiot.
I imagine they'll feather them into the driveways.
Yeah, when they come to the driveways, they'll just, basically if they have to, they'll just bring it back in.
I think in that stretch, there's really only 1 or 2 that actually, and I could be wrong as we're closer up towards Gaither, but I know outside of The house right there on the corner of Keel, they're concrete, everybody else is gravel.
Yeah, except for the fairgrounds concrete and that house there, but all the rest of them are all gravel.
Okay,
Yeah. so-
I have two questions. One question and another I wanna make sure it's done on this. Has this got the blessings of our city attorney? Did he say this contract is good?
Yeah. Yep. You want a letter from him, I'll get that to you tomorrow.
I would like that, yes. And then the other thing is, I mentioned it to you just when we talked a while ago, but we need to address the striping on it also.
That's a good question.
Well, the last time I checked on that, it was gonna be $3,500 from Advanced Warning in Muskogee. I can ask them again to give us a price. I know we have that striping machine, but that striping machine, we've tried long distances, and it's not the best in the world, because you're walking behind it, you have human error.
Right, and it's a long, it doesn't need to be done walked, we need to
Yeah.
advance to do it, so that's not obviously part of this.
No, that's not part of
We need to have the council go out. Will they have to go out for bid? It's over 20, even if
Well,
it's a
I think
35? Or are they the only
No,
supplier?
it's just $3,500.
Yeah, we would just have
That's what they quoted me last time. Now, again, this was been, 6 months ago, so I mean, I'll have to see if price has gone up, our paint hasn't gone up, so, but it's just depending where the labor.
I'd recommend we put it on the council agenda for approval to stripe that.
Perfect,
It's over my allowance, but
And
perfect.
if we can't get it striped, the roads will be fixed for the 4th of July celebrations, though.
that's the goal, if we can get this to them and back at the time.
So yes, I would like it on the agenda for,
Now, I'm gonna be perfectly transparent. If you guys can get this on the council agenda, and Alva gets it on his and gets it approved, I'm gonna call Mr. Sanders, who is running that machine, and tell him to mobilize it and get it ready. That way, come Wednesday morning, they can start first thing in the morning, after the council approves it. I'm being optimistic, so.
Well, it'd be best for county and city if that road's fixed before then.
Okay, so, given the information that we just now discussed, I'll make the motion that we recommend that we send this contract to the city council to approve the mayor to sign at the next meeting.
Second.
okay? Motion, did you get that motion? What it was, okay. Motion by Rushiers and Councilman Smith seconded it. Call for the vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes. And I would also like to entertain a motion that we recommend to the city council, to have it placed on the city council agenda for Tuesday night also about the striping.
So moved.
Can we do that?
Yes, because it's part of the project.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'll get the price tomorrow.
Okay?
So, an item to request quotes for striping or an item?
To recommend to the city council that we
Well, we'll just
get the
request-
striping done.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't try to get it on this project, I mean, that's fine, because we're getting close to going into next year, where this money here, if we don't get, I mean, it's earmarked, but if we don't use it,
We didn't encumber the funds.
yeah, we gotta somehow roll it
So
over.
the expenditure, that's all I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay.
But Advanced Warning has always done our striping. They've always, there's one other company way over Tulsa. We buy all of our stuff right now from Advanced. They give city discounts, so.
Okay, so I made the motion. Who made the second? Brashear?
I don't know.
Brashears made the second about the striping.
Okay.
Call for the vote.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Smith.
Okay, any unforeseeable business that you all know of? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilman Brashears,
Second.
by Councilman Smith to adjourn.
Lamar,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.